I'm competitive. I'm sorry, I'm a Canadian that's competitive.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Biz Dev Podcast, the podcast about developing your business. I'm David Baxter, your host, joined in his trucker hat today, Gary Voigt. Welcome.
I'm holding my hat for those who are not watching the video.
Oh, nice. You're
It's
British
not a
all of a
trucker
sudden.
hat. It's just called a tall brim hat.
It looks ridiculous regardless.
I look ridiculous with or without it, so
Fair enough.
choose to go with it.
More importantly, we are joined by Cara Bedford, who is the CEO of Infinite Marketing. I love that name, by the way. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks. Thanks for the kudos on the name.
Yeah, it's a cool name. So you are into marketing. What makes you guys different than any other marketing company?
First off, we're not a marketing agency. That's not
Oh, well, see,
something
there
we
you go.
are. So we call ourselves a marketing firm. So Infinite was born out of frustration. I sat in the executive seat at companies and had to work with these agencies who would come in and be a fly-by-nighter and give me all this great strategy. And then I would have to go and implement it all within my teams. And just really struggled with having expertise that would come in and stay at the top of the funnel without thinking through how we would implement it into the team and into the how. And also consistently with ROI. And when I decided to go out on my own, I really wanted to do something different. And so our goal is to create an ecosystem of like-minded individuals. We have fractional CMOs, we have market strategists, we have social media, we have doers, all the way down to your junior role. We do everything from business enterprise to personal branding. And our goal is truly to find the joy in work. And we are building a ecosystem of people working in what we call the joy spot of their working careers and doing what they love to do. And when they love to do it, the clients benefit because they get a really great product at the end. And I really just wanted people to grow and learn together. And you can freelance or be a consultant, but that's really lonely. I didn't want to be
Sure.
lonely. I really wanted to stay in a team atmosphere. So taking things that I learned in a traditional model and as an employee and still bringing that through, but also doing that on a fractional model with fractional talent.
So are you the only official employee of Infinite and everybody else is fractional contractor, whatever? Or do you have a team?
Correct. No,
Yeah.
so I'm the only employee. Everybody else is on contract, and we have 628 contractors that span 4 continents and service over 250 clients.
That model reminds me a lot of a few years ago, there was Digital Art Collective. And in order to be in the collective, you had to just show your portfolio and be introduced and invited by the other artists. But yeah, there was like 600 to 700 digital artists throughout the world who did the same thing.
Yeah,
That's
very
That's a pretty
similar.
cool idea.
Our goal is to build scalable teams with very, very wide and in-depth expertise in their fields. And this last week, we got a client who's, I need the greatest unbounce landing page expert in the world who can do these 5 things. And it took us 3 days to find this guy who is in Southeast Asia, who was the only person in the world that could do these 5 things all in the same go and breath. And we had him trial and build out our success criteria. We don't unleash people onto clients without them trialing first. He passed all the tests and then he was out to go and the client is super happy. And so it's really around if you've got something really weird, we usually are the place people find for us to do it because we're working with that really top 1% of genius in the world.
I've met 2 people who run similar businesses. One sounds very similar to you, Mari Casey, who we have spoken to. I'm not sure on this podcast, but we have spoken to her several times. Gary's met her. She runs a company called Uncompany, very similar to what you're describing. And then on the extreme, now this is big. I knew a guy who it was development, but it got extremely like on his consultant staff, for lack of a better term, he had a 4-star general. If you needed what this strategy at the super highest level, I think his billable rate was like $800 an hour, something nuts. Cause like, really, how many of those are there? But it was crazy. He had all this stuff all the way from, oh, you need a website? Cool. I got that. You need this, you need that.
Yeah.
You need an astronaut, whatever. I got it all. And it was crazy. Now his company was like $50 million, a good sized company. And, but extreme version of what you're talking about.
I
So
mean,
how
we
go
won't give you the astronaut, but we'll all the other things you just said. Our goal is to be like it's infinite for a reason. There's no boundaries, there's no barriers, and all we think about is the can do, infinite possibilities. And so this exclusive network of independent professionals, again, from CMO all the way down to just problem solvers and doers, we just really want to unlock that forward thinking motion for brands and people. And with this, you get all of these amazing people without the risk and HR gap and time of hiring your own team. Like we're taking away all that people risk that most businesses have. So,
so your company is just over 2 years old, is that
yeah,
approximately correct?
yeah.
So take me a couple of years ago, you wanted to split out from corporate, you wanted to get rid of the agency model, you wanted to do your own thing. So how did you start your network? Did you just know a few cool people and you reached out to them? Like how did you start from nothing, right? Unless you just already had your own network. How did that
Yes.
originally get moving?
Yeah. So let me go back. I got to actually go back a decade ago
Okay.
first. So a decade ago, I was part of an M&A. The company I was being acquired to was CompuVision. And I remember my first day and them being like, okay, you have no staff, no marketing budget, no nothing. In fact, we don't even really like having an internal person doing marketing. Go fail. And that was the way that happened. And it got me into looking at different ways to achieve marketing. And that's when I was introduced into the global freelance market and marketplaces and platforms. And I sit on many boards now, 10 years later, for customer advisory work and so forth on most of the top platforms that you know and use today. So Upwork and predominantly. And so getting to know the ins and outs after doing this deep dive of the last 10 years, I got to really build a success criteria and at CompuVision of what worked and what didn't work. And in marketing, I was the lead marketer, director of marketing at the time. And really, I look back at that time and I thank them very much for the great R&D work that ended up happening for this new business. And I'm still friends with all of the executive team there and they wish me nothing but the best and everything is on, but I got to learn and fail in a really safe environment and I'll forever be grateful for that. And with that, we're taking the last decade of the network of talent and people and because when I left, they didn't want to continue working in that way. So I got to bring that team with me and just expand it. And that team is tried, true, and tested. And then on top of that, we're just continuously adding top talent to our talent bench. And so I'm Canadian, so I think of it as hockey. So you got a bench and we're like, okay, line change. This is what we need now. And we're strategically looking about how we build that scalable team within that talent bench based on what you need every month, every quarter, or throughout the year.
So what do and I'm sure this has changed over the last 2 years, but what does your job look like every day? Are you the chief recruiter to bring in the right talent? Are you the client schmoozer? Are you the client retriever? Where do you or obviously all of the above, but, like, generally, what fills your days?
So interestingly enough, I never want to get away from not marketing myself. So I'm also a fractional CMO within my own business. So I have my own clients that are infinite clients so that I can keep up with the trends and different things in large industries. And I don't think that'll ever go away because I love it so much. I'll always have one or two clients that I sit and be that fractional CMO to continue to redefine our processes and make sure that I'm understanding what the CMOs have to go through. If I lose touch of that, I lose touch of the whole business. Then the second piece of that is I'm constantly doing the talent piece. Talent recruitment is a huge piece of what I get to do every day, and I'm meeting with people. And then thirdly, I do have another partner, and he's more on the BD and sales efforts of the business. But I do still like to meet our new clients as they sign on and build that out. But I would say I'm more on the day to day operations and making sure that the talent is, like we say, genius and top 1% and making sure that they're all cohesively working and getting results for our clients. So I'm constantly evolving what that looks like. So my day to day is processes. Honestly, I do a lot of process mapping.
Yeah,
Nothing
I was
wrong with
going to
that.
mention it seems like in order to run a collective or an a, or what do you actually call it? If it's not an agency, it is a collective.
We
Is
call it
it
a
just
firm.
Firm.
a
It's a
firm?
We call it,
firm.
To run a
yeah, we
firm
call
with
it a
that many
firm.
people and that many ways to go through different clients and the talent, the processes you have
Yeah,
must, I'm sure at first they were just like squids grabbing everything, but now you've
totally.
refined them and
Yeah.
refined them. So
Yeah.
what was the process of refining your processes? Like how long did that take to come up with something that
Oh,
works?
and we're
And I know you're
still
still
not done.
refining it, but
I think I would never say this when I left the business, like when I left corporate and started to wear the CEO hat. I think it's amazing with being a new entrepreneur, what ends up being the road that you go on. I've had to learn so much in such a short time, but I would have never, ever pictured myself as the person sitting down with Excel sheets and Figmas and like building process maps. Never in a million years. Learned really quickly that my brain can organize copious amounts of information very quickly and put it into buckets that I didn't quite know was an individual unique skill for myself. And I think the business needs me in that place. And that's where I play. And we are constantly evolving. I would say the first 6 months of the business, we didn't really have them. And we were just learning and failing and going and building. And none of our clients would know that, but it felt like the duck treading water a little bit at the beginning. And we're really lucky. We've had very little attrition over the last 2 years for any of our clients. And so we're just continuously improving our services and also rewarding those who have been with us since the beginning and making sure that they're always top of mind and that they're getting, everybody gets A+ quality, but that we keep the people that they really have built relationships with on their team. And yeah, process development is an everyday thing. We're building out a new AI powered marketing that's launching here in the next quarter. So AI powered marketing solutions for businesses. So that's on the next horizon. And it's been really fun to build those processes and what's ethical and what's not. And how do we start to like vision with companies who don't even have an AI policy in their business to now go and use AI powered marketing. So that's been a fun challenge in the last little bit.
So we have on occasion, and I know a lot of businesses do use freelance talent, need a
Yep.
contractor of something. Upwork, you mentioned that we've used them in the past. And one thing we have found with Upwork in particular, but I think it's common, is there's a lot of people who lie.
Oh yeah.
A lot of people who we like for us in particular, we are US only. All of our people, everyone all the way top to bottom has to be physically located in the US. It's just our thing. It's how we've always been. And so we make that very clear on everything we post out. And I can't tell you, have I told the Avatar story, Gary, on the
you've told that before, but it's been a while. If you just
I'll tell you,
keep it
this is
short
the
though.
most extreme version of this. So I interviewed a guy who was his picture looked like me, right? Round, bald head, white guy. And he was supposed to be in like Alabama or something like that. And one of our rules is you have to do a video call with me, right? There's no turning the camera off. You have to look at me. I was like, hey, do you have a camera? He's no, just a minute. Okay. He comes 5 minutes later, he comes back. His name changed, which is already uh, a
Red
scary
flag.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then he comes on and I swear serious. I took a screenshot of this. He comes on his face. I see him shoulders up and his face is a still picture of the guy. Again, face looks like mine overlaid on his face and a bad avatar. So the mouth is moving, but it's clearly, it's got a seam in the center and his real hands are there, but it's just like clearly not him.
It was
And so
like
I
a
have to have a
South Park animation in real life. Like it
oh, it
was
was
that
so
bad.
bad. And I have to go through the motions of interviewing this guy at least for a couple of minutes, right? So that
Why?
I
So I would
don't,
have got
I
off
have
the
this
call.
thing. Yeah, I gave him 5 minutes and then ran, but I'm taking screenshots and all sorts of stuff. It was so bad. But my point is people will go to a pretty extreme lengths to lie.
Yeah.
And we have made a ridiculous process. We talk about processes of how to hire people off there. And it's still, we had a guy get all the way through and we hired him for real, like full time. And he was Japanese and that's cool. And he was a nice guy. And we're like, hey, we need your I-9 or W-2 or whatever. We need documentation from him because he was a full-time client or a full-time employee. And we put that into E-Verify and all that. And it came back, there was a discrepancy. And I said, hey, We just got to fix this. No problem, man. Can you just send us a different one that's got the right such and such? No, I can't do that. What do you mean you can't do that? No, I just can't do that. We can't hire you. And he was shocked. He was like, why is this a problem? I was like, because you're lying to me. And my point is, this is a very long introduction. How do you and how have you guys are doing this at a scale that I do not understand, right? We
Yeah.
would get one or two, and you're talking 600 plus.
Yeah.
How
Now,
do
I'm
you, and I'm
sure.
not saying they're all Upwork, but how
They're
did you
not
get that?
all, yeah, they're not
Sure.
all platform, but for sure. Sorry, Gary, I interrupted you. What were you going to
No,
say?
I was going to say you do hire globally, so that's probably not an issue of it being like Canadian only. But the getting past the lying process, I think, is
Yeah.
Still got
how do you
So-
vet? How do you vet these people?
Yeah, so let's talk about vetted and verified talent for a second. So you go and you go on, I'm just going to pick on Upwork for a second
Sure.
because it's
They're
the
the big
easiest
ones.
one. But you go on Upwork and you start a job, and within 40 seconds, you have 4,000 resumes, and now you have to sort through all of that. My trajectory is different based on the partnerships that I have and the last decade of work that I've done with now working with these talent platforms and places, and also giving my time back. I have given so much of my time back on boards and advocacy and so much that I get a little bit of a different treatment, and so does my staff. With that being said, I go and I place an ad for somebody brand new on the platform. I'm actually only getting maybe 5 resumes. And again, I'm only talking to the top 1% of talent that is onto their platform. So these are going to be people that have probably worked with some of their other Fortune 500 clients and companies and so forth. With that being said, I'm also getting referrals from my other freelancers. So I'll go into our Slack and I'll say, hey, I need this. Has anyone come across this? Do you know of a person? And it doesn't have to be on platform. So a lot of the time we'll hire based on referral. And when you only had 20 people versus 600 people, the referral network really does work very quickly now. And so by the end of the day, I usually have between 5 and 10 people that I can go interview over the next couple days from that. If it's verified talent that we already have in our bench, we can spin up a team within 48 hours. The difference between Upwork and us on a verified talent person. So let's say you have to do all the logistics of coordinating, setting up the job and doing all the things. Here's where it's a bit different. You come to Infinite and you say, Infinite, I need a banner. And we're going to say, awesome. We look at that as 2 separate jobs. You need a content writer and you need a graphic designer. And you need a graphic designer that is ready to go to print for that banner. For example, if it was like a pull-up banner, or if it was a digital banner, you need someone that can go digital. And so we're already asking different questions based on that kind of trajectory to the freelance talent in a very different moniker and way. And we're already building you that team just on that one simple ask. And we're handling that. That's all happening in the background while you're just dealing with that one-to-one account person that is PMing the project and getting you the quality and becoming quality control. So you're not seeing the 10 revisions that went back and forth prior to you seeing the one that really needs your eyeballs. And so we're saving our teams and our clients so much time by being that conduit and that kind of trusted friend and guide in the gig economy model. And gig economy is one thing. There's also consultancy and partners. We're constantly growing our partner list. So we also have partners that we work with from top agencies across Canada and the US. Just because I'm not an agency doesn't mean there aren't some good ones out there where we have really distinct deliverables, right? It's I will only do SEO with this one, and that SEO has to be Canadian wide only. And so we're going very deep in the mapping of skills for the output of tasks. Everyone has a skill map attached to them. Like back in the day, everyone had a disc profile. At Infinite, you have a skill map. And so it's a distinct skill map of the things that, again, when we talk about what you want to work with in your joy, these are the things that you want to work on. These are the types of clients you want to work on. And everyone has that within our talent pool. So it's very easy to find the right fit and match make and be able to really have that benefit for the client. We're getting very prescriptive and process driven around the who works on your project versus just the outcome. You go to a normal agency, they just have those 10 people working for them. You have to use their talent. In ours, we're saying, no, this one might not be the right fit. Let's pull this one in who has more industry related knowledge to that banner. It might be something as simple as a banner, but if I can match you perfectly, I'm saving time and money.
So how do you I come to you and I say, I am really good at banners. I'm the
Yeah,
design guy
you're the
who's really
guy.
good at this. How do you put me through some sort of test?
Yeah.
So you
Yeah, we
have
have success
people
criteria. Yeah.
so you said, give me some examples of your banners or go make me something new or whatever. Is that a paid thing? Because the vetting thing is very interesting to me. I'm bringing on Gary. He wants to make you something pretty. And you say, all right, I'm going to hire you for X hours to do this to see if you're worth anything. Is that a
Yeah.
vaguely right?
Sometimes. Yeah, sometimes it's paid. Sometimes it's people who want to be part of the ecosystem so bad they're showing me 25 different things and I'm not even asking for it. And I love the hunger. And so I'll go talk to them. So honestly, for me, it's really figuring out from the skill set who is the best. And I know that's me. I'm competitive. I'm sorry, I'm a Canadian that's competitive. And I'm saying I'm sorry in the same sentence. But like I truly I'm a competitive Canadian and I looked around before I decided to make this move, I looked around my local place and said, am I going to go work for an agency? And there wasn't anything that they could teach me that I didn't know at that point that I wasn't getting learning, excuse me, from my freelance talent, the teams, the people at Upwork, other places. And it was on such a grander scale. And so for me, it's like local thinking global for then the local to succeed. My conduit and mission is making sure that we're constantly learning and evolving and growing. And sometimes you need to go outside of your borders to be able to grow and learn from some of the best talent. Just because it's not down the road from you doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And so I truly believe where there's a will, there's a way. And you will find that random unbounced person who can speak 5 languages and also be able to do 5 landing pages 5 ways. So it was such a random ask. And I was so proud of the team to find those random asks. And we have them.
Big Pixel builds world-class custom software and amazing apps. Our team of pros puts passion into every one of our projects. Our design-infused development leans heavily on delivering a great experience for our clients and their clients. From startups to enterprises, we can help craft your ideas into real-world products that help your business do better business.
You mentioned that this is all fractional and they're freelance talent that you hire on. Depending on the number of clients versus the number of people that you have in the talent pool, do you have an idea like how much work are you able to give what percentage of the talent pool? Or
Like
is
a
it just kind of
utilization
like
rate?
basically,
Like, are you asking about like how much of our talent is utilized on any given month?
yeah. So if a designer that you've hired and used before on specific things and you like them, they do great work, the client liked them, but then again, you might not have another client that needs someone like him for a while.
Yep.
Is there a lot of gap between jobs for some of the talent here? Or is it
We're
pretty
looking at it
steady?
per quarter. No, we're looking at it per quarter. So if you do really good work and you're able to expand your talent map, like some people's talent maps are like 5 pages, 5 rows deep, right? Because they're a
Yeah.
graphic designer that uses. But if you're really specific and you only one thing, then we're going to have less work for you over the course of the time. But that's all a negotiation. Like when we talk to that person, like Gary. Gray's my client that I talked to before this. Gary, hi Gary. Gary, I'm gonna say you're gonna come on this new job with me, and I'm coming to hire you, and you're saying, you know what, I'm a really awesome cast producer, and I know Riverside, nobody's business, and I'm gonna say, awesome. Do you know any other platforms? And you go, no. Now all of a sudden you pigeonholed yourself until you can build more of those skills, and I'm gonna say, that's great. We have 7 clients that work on Cloud Radial, right? It's a different podcast software. And now all of a sudden, I'm asking you to go and learn that. And when you're ready to come back and we'll test you on it. And there's a mentoring and a skill development and the ecosystem being very much collaborative that is built on this like trust economy that we're building here at Infinite. And everyone's an adult. And if you don't have enough work, you can literally say, hey, I don't have enough work. Does anyone have anything for me? and we'll be going back and forth with each other and making sure each other has what they need based on the outcome of the clients. But yeah, is it steady? Our utilization rates per month is about 65% of the talent pool every month. So they're being used almost all the time, and the rest of them are sitting waiting for work.
And I
So
can also
the
see that
yeah,
if you're pointing them in a direction of, we do have clients that need something similar to what you do, if you want to go
yeah,
expand and learn, that's actually pretty beneficial as well, because at least you're pointing them in a direction that you're actually going to provide work for, not just say like the new hot thing is to learn Spline. So learn Spline, but we don't have any
yeah.
clients that use Spline. So like,
No, we're saying and we always have a foreseeable forecast of the work per quarter. We work in quarter runs. So we're able to say, okay, in the next 3 months, this is what's coming down the pipe. This is the talent that's going to have happen. Here's who's support roles for that talent. Here's people who are working full time. So we're constantly, again, back to that talent bench, putting people on and off based on the work that's coming down the pipe. And marketing goes through ebbs and flows for businesses, which is why I'm also a really big cheerleader of this type of work, like hiring someone full time to sit there and then maybe in summer you have nothing to do for them. Like, why? If you are a seasonal business, we make really great sense for you.
So where do you see Infinite in 5 to 10 years? Does it look the same, just bigger? Do you morph? Obviously, you don't have a crystal ball, but you as the founder, you as the visionary, where do you see it going?
Yeah. I'll give you our 3 year and our 5 year. And after that, I go, oh my God. I have a big, do you guys use BHAG? Do you know what BHAG is?
Carry audacious goals?
Yeah. So we've got a big hairy audacious goal, which is 100 million. That was the number I wrote on my journal
In 3 years? This was your 3-year goal?
no, God, no.
Oh,
When
I
I
was like, "Wow,
decided
that is awesome."
to when I decided to build this. And so that's where I'm going and shooting for. And we're building a business that's going to scale to that and work towards that. But over the next 3 to 5 years, we're really looking at about doubling our talent bench. So we want to double the talent bench and double the businesses. So we're looking at a double over the next 5 years. The reason why we're doing it a little bit slower is because we want to make sure we have all the processes and the right people in place so that as we then go to that next phase, it's easier to scale because we have everything in place to scale with it. So we are just heads down in automations and standardizations and all of the operational efficiencies of the business right now. And then also heads down in sales. So those are the two big ones as we're looking for new clients. So if anyone's listening, wants to learn more,
Mhm.
but those are the two goals for the next for year 3 and then year 5.
Very cool. All right, Gary, bring us home.
so typically we'll ask the guests on here, what are their top 3 pieces of advice for any new entrepreneur, business, or startup? Most of those guests actually come from the place of starting from whatever their business was, but you have a unique perspective because you're able to answer this because you're helping other businesses grow and at the same time grow your own. So I'm going to rephrase it to, what are your top 3 pieces of advice for growing and sustaining a business through marketing?
Awesome question. So, number one is get really clear on what you want to say in the market. A lot of businesses will have a logo and then just go launch a business, and that'll only take you so far. And so, getting really prescriptive on what it is that you want to say, what that promise is going to be. That upfront strategy work is actually an investment that many people don't do. They'll build a business plan, but they won't build a marketing plan, and they go hand in hand. The business plan is like how you get the business done, but the marketing plan is how you then get new business into the business to tell the story and build loyalty and build brand awareness and trust. And so you need to get some dollars in there at the beginning. And we have a startup in a box solution that we work with a lot of our startup clients in that does just that. So it's just positioning work, figuring out what your brand promise is going to be, and aligning your leadership team and small teams, usually it's 1, 2 to 3 people, on how you go pitch and what that's going to look like and how you speak about yourself in the market. Because the worst is if you have market confusion right out of the hop. So that's number 1. Number 2 is get really clear on what your unique abilities are. So those differentiation statements and those unique abilities, that what makes you different is really important. And so spending a little bit of time thinking through that and then creating some stories around those differentiation pieces that will get you to go to market and get you some quick wins really fast. And then 3, document and data everything that you're going to learn, even the failures over the first few years within your marketing or within your business are going to be able to shed light into new opportunities. So it might feel like a punch in the gut and a failure at the time, but looking back on it, you'll have so many learnings that you can then go to market with by pivoting and doing something different. And so my third thing would be just document everything, process everything out, spend some of that time to do that so that when you do have those kind of growth moments and opportunities, you're ready to go.
Very cool.
Nice.
So
Good.
now, Cara, if anybody wants to learn more about you or Infinite, how can they get in touch?
Yeah, our website, infinitemarketing.ca. You can come and check us out. Good old Canadian website. We are proudly Canadian first, even though we are global. We're just really nice. That's why we took the .ca. And come check us out there. And then LinkedIn. I'm super active on LinkedIn. And so if you want to chat, you can LinkedIn inbox me. Happy to chat.
Hi, I'm Christy Pronto, Content Marketing Director here at Big Pixel. Thank you for listening to this episode of the BizDev Podcast. We'd love to hear from you. Shoot us an email, hello@thebigpixel.net. The BizDev Podcast is produced and presented by Big Pixel. See you next week. Until then, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Threads, YouTube, and LinkedIn.